everybody, and welcome back to Living Room Learning. This is episode 4, and welcome back to my living room. Thank you for watching today, and today we are going to be talking about what happens when we have a problem. All of us have problems. We all have different sizes of problems, and we're going to do a little bit of an experiment to talk about what's happening to us when we experience those problems. If you're like me, sometimes things that feel like they shouldn't be a big deal feel actually like a really big deal when it happens, or things that feel like it should be a big problem, I'm able to handle really well. And sometimes I don't really understand why, and I have to think about it for a while. But we're just going to start today with understanding what's happening in our bodies and in our brains when we are having a problem. So first, let's talk about what a problem is. A problem is when something goes wrong. It can be very, very mild, very small, or it can be huge. So the word problem doesn't give us a lot of information. We have to have another word to help us describe the problem. So a large problem, a mild problem, a small problem, a kind of a medium size problem. Those size words help us to understand how big our reaction should be and how serious a problem is. For example, if I come and I say, I'm having a big problem today. There's just something that is really upsetting to me and it's huge and I don't know what to do. You're going to think, oh man, we're going to have to do something. Let's get ready to help Kelly. And you say, well, what's going on? And I say, I dropped my pen on the floor. And you're going to say, wait, that's not a really big problem. So the way I describe it is important. The other thing that's important is paying attention, because if someone just comes up and says, I have a problem, and we don't really pay attention to that, and we don't really notice that their face looks upset, or their face is red, or they're not talking very much, we don't notice some of the clues they give us, we could miss an opportunity to be helpful. And we don't want to miss those kind of opportunities. So we need to realize that the people around us and our friends sometimes need help with their problems, and we can be a good friend by noticing and offering to be helpful. If they say no, they don't need help, we listen and we stop, but it's important to try to notice what's going on around us. So let's talk about a couple examples of some problems, and then we're going to do an experiment to show what is happening figuratively. So it's not really what's happening, but it's an example of what's happening when we have these problems. So for the purposes of our experiment today, if we talk about having a small problem, we're going to use these small green beads. If we talk about having a medium-sized problem, we can use these small yellow cubes, or medium yellow cubes. And then if we have a big problem, we're going to talk about using these red blocks. So small problems are small green beads. Medium-sized problems are the medium-sized yellow blocks, and big problems are the big red blocks. All right, so let's pretend, I'm gonna make sure I cover up my workspace here a little bit so I don't make too much of a mess. Messes are fun, but not when you have your laptop nearby. All right, so let's pretend that this is me. And on a normal day, I've had breakfast and I got some good sleep, and I took my kids to school and I am ready for my day. So on a normal day, I'm dealing with just the normal things in life, and I'm doing okay. My glass isn't empty. I'm not super, super sad. My glass isn't too full. Things aren't flowing out. So that's me, just kind of hanging out, having a normal day. If I experience a small problem, say I drop my keys on the floor when I'm leaving, we'll mix a small problem in here. See that small problem? Didn't really change much about what's happening in the glass. It didn't make my water overflow, and I'm able to deal with it. I have enough room in my cup to deal with that problem. All right, let's say I get to work when work's open and I can't log into my computer. That's not a big problem. Usually I can figure that out, or I can talk to Robert and he can help. So we'll drop another one in, and I'm able to handle that problem. I'm still feeling pretty good. I have plenty of room in my cup, so I'm doing okay. So that's a good example of what's happening when we are in a good place, we're feeling okay, and small problems happen. We can handle them. We have enough room in our cup to take care of them. We're doing all right, and we just handle it, solve the problem, and move on. Let's talk about what happens when we have some medium-sized problems. Take out my smalls. All right, so let's imagine again that I am having an okay day. The kids are at school. I ate breakfast. But today, on this day, traffic was pretty bad. So I'm running a little bit late to work, and I spilled my coffee a little bit. So I have a stain on my shirt. So my cup's a little bit more full on this day because I not only did I do my normal things, but I'm starting to have a few little issues that have come up, but I've worked through them. And say now I get to work and it is time for my meeting, and I forgot my laptop. I left it in my car. So now if I go get my laptop, I'm going to be late to the meeting and I can't get prepared, and I'm just experiencing kind of a medium-sized problem. My job is to be at meetings on time and to be prepared, and if I'm not there, then that's a problem. So I have a medium-sized problem. You see, it's taken up more of my cup. And when things are bigger, they take up more of what's going on in your brain and more of what's happening in your life. So it's not just floating around there small and no big deal. Now it's taken up a good amount of my cup, and that means I'm having to use more brain energy and use more of my coping skills to solve this problem and to help myself stay okay. Because see, my cup's getting a little bit more full this time around. So say I run downstairs really quickly, run to my car, get my laptop. I'm still rushing around. My face is all red. I get to my meeting. I'm a few minutes late, and I open up my laptop, and I'm not prepared because I didn't have time to prepare. And somebody asks me a question that I need to be able to answer, and I told them I would be able to answer, and I can't answer it in the meeting because I wasn't prepared. And because of that, our meeting gets delayed, and I'm just not feeling really good about what's going on. So to me, not being able to answer that question is another medium-sized problem. And now look at how much of my cup is filled up with problems. My water's getting pretty high, and I'm not feeling very good. When I start to feel like this and my cup gets this full, I really have to think about how to take care of myself and give myself some more room back in my cup. Some of the ways that I do that are to talk to a friend or talk to someone that I trust. I also like to be alone. So sometimes I'll go for a walk outside. I'll go walk around the courtyard. I'll go walk around the parking lot. Sometimes I also will go for a drive. So maybe after my meeting's over, I go and I drive. And sometimes I just sit and listen to music in my car, or I'll put headphones in and just listen to music. So those are some things that I can do when I'm experiencing some medium-sized problems that will help me to feel better. And, they'll eventually, these things will be solved and they'll go away, and I'll go back to just having some more water in my cup. So those are problems that I can handle. Some problems that you may experience that might be medium are losing your badge, or misplacing where you put something for work. There's a lot of different examples of medium-sized problems, and those are different for everyone. The other thing, and let's go back for a second. Let's pretend like I have these floating around in my cup again. The other thing to realize too is when we're like this, if we don't take a step and take a minute to calm down and figure out what we're going to do or make a plan, we start adding in small problems like I dropped my pen on the floor, or I tripped and spilled my lunch everywhere, or say I left my lunch at home and now I have to just eat the snack that I had. All of these little things start to add up. And now you see how much of my cup is being taken up by the small and the medium problems. That means I'm not able to focus very well. And these small things are more annoying because they're happening on a day when I also had those medium problems. All right. Take these back out. See if I can fish out all my problems real quick so we can keep working. Probably should have brought a spoon, but I'm just gonna solve my problem with my hand. Just be a little wet. All right, so let's imagine a day that maybe my morning isn't very normal. Maybe I have a kiddo who's not feeling very well. Maybe baby Riley is teething and kind of sick and she's whiny. Maybe I burned our eggs that morning and, we get to work at school late and, everything just kind of adds on. And by the time I'm ready to work, my cup's already here. And that amount of space that I have up there isn't a lot. So that means if I have any problems today, I'm not going to be ready to deal with them very well. I need to find some ways to either calm myself down or try to have a really relaxing day so that when I get home, I could calm down. But let's say a really big problem happens. Let's think of what an example of a really big problem could be. Let's say when I am parking my car at work, let's pretend that a light pole falls down and crashes into my car. That's a big problem. And I know it's a big problem because it's not something I can solve myself. I can't take care of that problem. I can't lift the light pole. I can't make sure everyone around me is safe because now there's electricity and wires. I can't move my car. So all of these things are telling me it's a really, really big problem. And now my cup has gotten really, really full. And that means I'm probably feeling upset, maybe angry, maybe I can't think straight, maybe I'm starting to panic. And I know I'm going to have to ask for people to help me to solve this problem. When I have small problems, I don't have to ask someone to help me solve those usually. Usually I can take care of those on my own. When I have medium-sized problems, sometimes I'll talk to a friend or involve somebody else. But if I start having really large problems, I know I'm going to need help to solve them. All right, so let's say that on this horrible day where I have had difficulties getting out of my house and my kids were late to school and I'm late to work and now a light pole has fallen on my car. Let's say that some people come to help me. And, some of my coworkers come out to help and check on me. Some of the community helpers come, like we have a fire truck show up and check on me, and a tow truck comes to help take care of my car, and someone comes to take care of the electricity. This problem can start feeling less like a big problem and more like a medium-sized problem. I still have some stuff to take care of, but when people come to help me, that helps my feelings and my problems feel smaller. So it also helps me feel relieved. That's a really important word. When someone comes to help us, when we really need help, there's a feeling called relieved. And that is usually a really good feeling because you're just so glad that someone came to show up and help you. Thank you so much for watching this video about identifying the size of some different problems. If that's something that you struggle with, I will talk a little bit more about this next time on our next episode so that we can have some worksheets and some ways that we can work ourselves through how to identify the size of a problem as well as the way that big problems and small problems might feel to us. So stay tuned for that. I didn't want to do it all in one video because I thought it'd be too long. So we started this week with the experiment, and then we'll work next week on some different tools that we can use. All right, have a fabulous week, and I'll talk to you guys next time.